Darling, I want to give you sponsorship to come to Dubai. When I told her I wanted to sponsor her to come to Dubai, she looked at me like I had just offered her the moon. She wasn't expecting it. I could tell from the way her hands froze halfway to her coffee cup. It wasn't about showing off or making it sound like a grand gesture. It was simply because I wanted her here right next to me so we could stop counting the miles between us. I had been thinking about it for weeks. Every time I walked along the waterfront or sat at a rooftop cafe with the city lights glowing all around, I imagined her sitting there too, laughing, telling me her stories, adding her presence to this life I'd been building. It wasn't just about bringing her to a new place. It was about giving us the chance to live without screens, without time zones stealing our moments. I knew there would be paperwork, rules, and all the formal steps to follow, but none of that mattered. What mattered was her, and making sure she knew this wasn't just about a trip. It was about building something real. I leaned forward and said, "Darling, I want to give you sponsorship to come to Dubai," and I meant every word. Her eyes softened, and in that quiet second, I knew this conversation was the beginning of something life-changing. She stayed silent for a moment, as if she was trying to process the weight of my words. Then she asked softly, "Are you sure? This is a big thing you're offering." I smiled. "I've never been more sure of anything. I don't just want you to visit. I want you to feel like you belong here with me." The truth was, I had been watching her carry so much responsibility back home. Long days, short nights, always giving to others, but rarely having time for herself. I wanted to change that. I wanted to give her a space where she could breathe, where she could wake up to something new, somewhere she could start fresh if she wanted to. I told her about the city, the way mornings start with the sound of prayer and the sun lighting up the desert, how evenings feel like a dream when the wind carries the scent of the sea. I described the quiet corners where we could talk for hours, and the bustling souks where every step feels like stepping into another story. She kept listening, and I could see the mix of emotions in her eyes: hope, disbelief, and a little fear. Not fear of me, but of what it might mean to leave behind what's familiar. I reached for her hand and said, "I'm not asking you to change who you are. I just want you here so we can build something real together." Her fingers tightened around mine, and right there, I could feel her heart leaning closer to saying yes. She leaned back in her chair, her eyes moving between my face and the view outside the small cafe window. The world outside seemed so normal, but I knew inside her mind, everything was spinning. Leaving my home. "It's not just packing a bag," she finally said. "It's leaving behind everything I've known. My family, my friends, my work. What if I can't adjust? What if I feel lost there?" She had never lived anywhere else before, and moving to a place like Dubai isn't just a change of location. It's a shift in life itself. Different language sounds on the streets, different food, different pace, different rules. "I know it's a big step," I replied, "but I'm not just asking you to move for the sake of it. I'm promising you, you won't be alone for a single moment. I'll be there, every morning, every night, helping you through every strange new thing, until it feels normal." I told her about the people I'd introduce her to, the safe neighborhoods where she could walk freely, and the little spots by the beach, where we could sit and watch the sunset melt into the water. I explained how sponsorship works, that I'd handle all the paperwork, cover the costs, make sure her stay was legal and secure. All she had to do was say yes, and trust me to guide her through it. Her lips curved into a faint smile, but I could still sense her hesitation. It wasn't about doubting me, it was about stepping into the unknown. So I told her, The unknown doesn't have to be scary. When you're holding someone's hand, you still have your traditions, your memories, your roots. But here, you'll have me. And together we'll plant new ones. Her eyes softened. She didn't speak right away, but I could feel something shifting inside her. She sat in silence for a moment longer, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. I could tell she was replaying every word in her mind, measuring each possibility, weighing every risk. "I'm just afraid of not belonging," she finally whispered. "What if I feel out of place? What if people see me differently?" I reached across the table and gently took her hand. "You won't be a stranger there," I said softly. "You'll be my partner, my family, my everything. When people see you, they'll see the woman I love, and that alone will give you a place." I described Dubai to her, not from the glossy brochures, but from the streets I've walked myself. The scent of fresh bread drifting from the bakeries at dawn, the hum of the markets, where vendors call out in a dozen languages, the warm air in the evening, when the city lights shimmer like gold on the water. "You'll see," I said, "it's a place where people from all over the world live side by side. No one's from here originally. We're all building our own homes together, and you'll find your own circle." Just like I did, she asked about her career, her independence, the little hobbies she had back home. I told her there were opportunities, that her skills could open doors she didn't even know existed yet. And as for her hobbies, I promised we'd find ways to keep them alive, whether it was joining clubs, visiting cultural centers, or simply making space in our home for the things she loves. I could feel her grip on my hand tightening, not out of fear anymore, but as if she was testing the strength of the promise I was giving her. I wanted her to know this wasn't just a romantic gesture. This was a plan for a shared life. "I'm not asking you to give up who you are," I said. "I'm asking you to bring all of who you are to a new place, so we can write our next chapters together." Her eyes glistened, and I knew my words were starting to reach the place inside her, where hope was battling fear. She leaned back in her chair, looking out the window, her gaze following the slow movement of clouds in the evening sky. It was as if she was imagining herself there already, walking through a different city, breathing different air, yet still holding my hand. "I've never lived anywhere else," she said quietly. "Everything I know is here. My family, my friends, my routines." "I know," I replied, my voice low and steady, "and I'm not asking you to forget them. They'll still be part of you, just as much as they are now, but I'm offering you a second home, a place where your dreams can stretch a little wider." I told her about the nights in Dubai, when the desert breeze feels cool, and the stars seem closer than anywhere else. I painted pictures with my words, walking along the marina, visiting art galleries that showcase talent from every corner of the world, sipping tea in quiet cafes that seem frozen in time. Her lips curved slightly into a smile, but I could see there was still a quiet storm of questions inside her. "What if I can't adjust?" she asked. "What if I get lonely when you're at work? What if I fail at building a life there?" I reached over and touched her cheek. "You won't be alone. Not for a single day. We'll build our life together, and on the days when you feel unsure, I'll be right there to remind you why we started this journey." I leaned closer, my words firm but full of warmth. "This sponsorship, it's not just paperwork, it's my way of saying I believe in us, I believe in you, and I believe in the life we can create." She held my gaze for a long moment, as though searching for any sign of hesitation in my face. When she didn't find any, her hand reached for mine again, but this time it wasn't tentative. It was sure, steady, almost as if she was saying she could already see herself walking beside me in that new world. That night, she lay in bed, unable to sleep. The city outside was quiet, but her mind was loud. Every word I'd said kept replaying in her head, the promise of a second home. The picture of us walking through streets she'd never seen before. In her thoughts she imagined the moment she would step out of the plane. The warmth of Dubai's air wrapping around her like a welcome hug. The hum of conversations in many languages. The glow of city lights in the distance. She pictured me waiting for her just past the arrival's gate, holding a small bouquet, not for show but because I knew it would remind her of home. She imagined running into my arms, feeling that all the miles and months of waiting had melted away. But then another image came, the first morning in her new apartment, me making coffee while she looked out at the skyline, realizing this was now her life, a new routine, a new chapter, a new beginning. The thought both excited her and scared her. She wondered about the little things. Would she find her favorite snacks there? Would she make friends? Would she miss the sound of her neighborhood back home? Still, even with those doubts, she kept coming back to one thought. This is a chance not everyone gets. It wasn't just about living in another country. It was about living with the person who wanted to build a future with her. She turned on her side, smiling into the dark, thinking that maybe, just maybe, she was ready to take that leap.